All right, let's get right into it. If you've ever built something and put it out there for the world to see, you know that feeling, right? That mix of pure excitement and just, sheer terror right after you smash that launch button. Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise with a super clear framework for figuring out if your launch is actually working from the very first minute. This is the big question, isn't it? You've poured everything into this thing, and now you're just refreshing the page, checking your email, looking for any sign of life. Are people coming? Do they get it? Are they buying? That need for instant feedback is totally universal, but honestly, it's also where you can get completely lost in a sea of data that doesn't really matter.
And that's exactly where this simple but really powerful framework comes in. Instead of obsessing over page views or social media likes, this system hones in on what truly moves the needle. It breaks down into two super important parts: the immediate signals you got to watch in the first couple of days, and the core metrics that define your long-term health. Think of this as your command center for your launch.
Okay, first up, the sprint. The first 48 to 72 hours are like an immediate health check. This is where you're measuring your momentum, that initial reaction from the market. We're basically taking your launch's pulse to see if it has a strong, steady heartbeat right out of the gate.
Now, what's really cool about this part is that we're not just looking at a boring list of numbers. When you look at these early signals in order, they actually tell a story. It's the story of your customer's journey with your new thing, from that first curious glance all the way to their final decision.
And this right here shows that journey perfectly. It all starts with the simplest thing: clicks. That's just pure awareness. Someone was curious enough to see what's up. Then we level up to ATCs, which is a huge sign of real interest. They're not just looking anymore, they're actually thinking about it. Purchases, well, that's the big decision point. And finally, for anything with a recurring model, subscriptions starting, that's the ultimate commitment. That's turning a one-time buyer into a long-term fan.
Let's just pause on ATCs for a second. It stands for Add to Carts. And this little metric is so important because it signals a massive jump in someone's intent. A click is cheap. It's just fleeting curiosity. But adding something to a cart, that's a real action. That screams, hey, I am seriously thinking about buying this. This is how you separate the window shoppers from your real potential customers.
So the bottom line is, these 4 steps are the vital signs of your launch. They give you a real-time diagnosis. Are you getting lots of clicks but no interest? Might be a messaging problem. Are people adding to the cart but not buying? Maybe your checkout process is clunky. A healthy launch shows people moving smoothly right through this funnel.
But here's the trap that so many people fall into. Having a massive first weekend is awesome, don't get me wrong. But we've all seen those products that have a huge launch and then just fizzle out. That early burst of activity is an incredible signal, but it does not guarantee a sustainable business. For that, we gotta look a little deeper.
So if the first 72 hours are all about that initial spark, how do we measure the long-term fire? Well, that's where the second part of our framework comes in, your core success metrics. These aren't about the buzz. They're about the fundamental long-term health of what you've built. This is the foundation for real sustainable growth.
The first core metric is CPA, or cost per acquisition. To put it simply, this is the price tag for getting a new customer. If you spend $100 on ads and get 2 new subscribers, your CPA is $50. Understanding this number is just absolutely fundamental to knowing if your business model actually works.
And CPA works hand in hand with our second core metric, new subs per day. This slide lays it out perfectly. CPA measures your efficiency. Basically, how much does it cost you to grow? Meanwhile, new subs per day measures your velocity. How fast are you actually growing? A truly successful business needs both. You need to grow efficiently and at a good pace. One without the other, it's just not going to last.
So we have our 2 sets of metrics, right? The immediate vital signs from that first 72 hours and the long-term core metrics for sustainability. Now let's connect the dots and turn all this data into an actual strategy.
Here's how it all fits together. Think of your early signals, the clicks, the add to cart, those first sales. Think of them as leading indicators. They predict your potential. They tell you if you've got something people actually want. But your core KPIs, your CPA, and your growth speed, those are the lagging indicators that confirm you have a real sustainable business. What you want to see is the excitement from that first weekend translating directly into healthy long-term numbers. So, the most crucial point is this. You absolutely 100% need to track both. A huge launch with a terrible cost per acquisition isn't a success. It's just burning cash. And a super efficient CPA with zero growth, well, that's a hobby, not a business. You need the initial signals and the core metrics working together to get the full, honest picture.
So this framework really gives you a clear definition of what a successful launch looks like, from the very first hour to the first year and beyond. It takes you from that feeling of anxiously refreshing a page to making confident, data-driven decisions. So the only question left is, now that you know what to look for, how are you going to act on it?